going to cover a new topic, Introduction to Business and Economics, which comes under Business and Economics. So let's get started. I'll add the explanation link and the index in the description, so you can directly move on to your relevant topic and watch it directly. So first is Introduction to Business and Economics. So here we can see it's a discipline to study human behavior. So this helps us to analyze various factors, take various decisions. The overall aim and intention is to make the maximum utilization of the scarce resource and bring the maximum profit out of it, and making sure that the resource don't get depleted, so that we don't have that for the next use. Okay, so in Greek, this economics is known as economics, which means a household. How it is related to households, that we will cover in the upcoming subtopics. So next is meaning of economics. So in the evaluation of subject economics, we have 4 different factors. So how we relate economics with other factors in the country. One is the economics and household. So here we can see how household is connected to economics. So if you see, economics have industries, industries have labors, labors have houses. So overall what we can see is household provide their services to the industries or firms. So firms pay the labor charges, salary, those kind of stuff to the laborers, and laborers will provide their service. So this will be a cycle found between an economics and household. Next is economics and society. So here concentration is that maximum people should be benefited from the work that is going in the country, so that not only the proper products for the consumption or for the production of next form of material, but also it should be not only utilized by the consumers, but also it should be the useful for the laborers, and that also maximum laborers. Okay, so that at that point comes the optimal utilization. Next we have economics and nation. So in this point we emphasize on the production, consumption and distribution from the national income is from which and national income is generated. So here focus is like in one cycle of economic is done. Okay, now for the next cycle of the economic to go on, the consumption should be done. Okay, so that income flows from the consumers to firms again. But if there is no proper distribution in different strata of the society, most of the people will not be able to consume, because they were not given with, or they were not provided with the amount that could lead the people to afford certain products. Okay, so that's how economics and nation are interconnected. Next is the economic and the world. So here we are completely focused on globalization, and then we have forums like IMF, World Bank, and a number of other imports and exports involved in the economic and world. So it's like trade between the different countries. As you can see, none of the countries now isolated as a result of globalization. So it's like economics and nation, but in every country, and which are interrelated. Next we have basic economics and problems. So here the overall concentration is what to produce. So in this we cover what type of goods, what quantity of goods, and what are the service to be produced based on different geographic or people's need, cultures. So all these factors will be considered to take the decisions for these questions. Next is how to produce. So previously in traditional way, all the focus was on the labor. Now it's like how much machinery can be introduced, how much labor cost can be reduced, so how much one-time cost we can increase, but overall it should result in the cost cutting and less number of charges from the investment perspective. So that is how to produce. And then we have for whom to produce. So it is also known as problem or distributor. So this make sure that allocation is, so in this the allocation is based on national income. So when we say based on national income, we divide goods into luxurious goods, inferior goods, consumer goods. So all those division takes place, so that proper goods can be reached to proper population, or we can say audience. Okay, so that is for whom to produce. Next is the assumptions in economics. So we know, as economy is a very dynamic in nature, everything will be changing drastically. So if we try to understand how one factor is working, while understanding that one factor, all the other factors will change, which could lead to the some other results other than the expected one. So we say it as a dynamic. So some of the factors which act as a determinants for the dynamics of the economics are the consumer have rational preferences, means their fashion, their taste, their preferences will be changing continuously. So there's no fixed what we can say time period which we can say okay within this time period there will be no change, nothing like that. And the existence of perfect competition is the assumption based on which economics laws are found, but there will be never a perfect competition. Okay, there will be competition, there will be monopoly, but never the perfect competition. But for the understanding and analysis process it is considered as though we have a perfect competitions. So what perfect competition means, there will be too many consumers and buyers in the market for the commodities that are available in the market. Next is the existence of equilibrium. So when we say equilibrium means the amount or the quantity of commodity that is required, that is demand, is exactly same that is supplied by the supplier, so which we call it as equilibrium, which is an ideal state. Next we have nature of economics. So nature of economics, we have three natures of economics. One is it is as a science, as a social science, as an art. Now why we call it as a science? Because it follows some of the science principle like cause and effect relationship, laws of demand, laws of supply, and many other things. So when we say that okay someone is following some specific law, its nature is like when this happens this should happen, when x is reduced y is increased. So if any such laws is followed, we call that it is following the scientific principle. Okay, so because of these laws we call them we call economic as a science. Next is economics as a social science. So as we've studied previously, that everything is so dynamic that we cannot study one factor without keeping the others as constant, because human behavior is such that his taste, his preferences, his mindset, his environment, everything will be affected to make a particular choice, and then he should be having the willingness and the ability to buy, followed by the commodity should be available in the market. So there are n number of other things which will be changing continuously. So it's like understanding the human psychology, everything related to human behavior. So we call economic as a social science. Next we have economics is an art. So we know that okay these are the principles, these are the rules and guidelines that to be followed when doing any economic activity. Now the concentration is how creatively or what techniques I can use to make the best use of any specific law. So because of these factors we call it as economics is an art. Next we have approaches for positive and normative approach. So positive approach means there is a statement, and as though using the induction we have to prove either it is correct or incorrect, that is approved or disapproved, nothing in between. But coming to normative approach, it is very subjective and value based. So which says okay this is a statement, but this is a generic statement, you cannot prove that it is wrong or you cannot prove that it is not correct. Okay, so statement like government should provide basic healthcare to all citizens. So this cannot be analyzed just by this statement, because there will be too many facts and figures which will be varying according to the place chosen, according to the people are considered, according to which organization is choosing which audience of the population to provide which kind of healthcare. So there will be n number of other factors which with the help of which we cannot say either this is true or a false statement. So this might fall in between, or there might be the reasoning but not the exact answer. Next we have economic statics and dynamics. So coming to economic statics, we assume, okay it's not correct, we assume that there will be some constant value going on in a number of factors. So when we say there is some constant going on, it means we assume that the position of the economics is in equilibrium state. So equilibrium position means price considered which comes when the demand is very same that of supply, and then planned savings is equal to planned investment likewise. So why planned savings is equal to planned investment is coming into picture? Because it is stating that what we have predicted for the future, the same thing is going on. It means when we are predicting the factors which were there, now also the factors are the same. So that can be only possible when the values of various economic factors are remaining constant. That's why here we are calling the economics as a static object. Next we have economic dynamics. So this is a real-time thing we can consider, because it considers the change in variable values. Okay, so it considers the actual functioning of the economy, because it is more reliable and more close to the truth. Based on this, various economic models analysis can happen. So these were the statics and dynamics of the economic. Next we have economic systems. So when we talk about market economy, it is completely as though we are talking about an individual. Here individual will decide what to produce and which kind of goods and service to be produced. The decision that he will be taking is what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce. Now when taking this decision, we have two types of classes. One is the capitalist class, which actually owns the resources of production and distribution, and the other is the working class, which we generally call as labor. So market economy is completely run by the individual producers. Next we have planned economics. So this is opposite also of market economy. Unlike market economy where individuals take decisions and run, planned economy is completely run by the government. So it is responsible for all the taxes, all the prices. Okay, not completely, but we can say government is dominating this, and planned economy is run by the government. Next we have mixed economy. So this uses the both market economy and planned economy. So here even the private organization, government organization, both plays key role, and they try to support each other in the mixed economy. So we can say in India we have kind of mixed economy. Okay, next we have command economy. So here it's like whatever the government says is fixed. Okay, in planned economy and command economy we can find some similarities, but they are not the exact same thing, because in command economy it is more bent towards the people who are in the government. So it is like people from the elite class will be benefited more out of the command economy, because they are the one who are ruling, so they should get more benefit of the economic activities. For example, North Korea. Next we have scope of economics. Okay, so here we can see the international arena means when the economic activities are considered in terms of activities between the countries. Now between the countries in the sense globalization. Now second is the public finance. Here we consider only a one specific country, and public finance means all the taxes, okay, all the labor charges, and various other expenditure and production of distribution of goods. Okay, so here we consider all the wealths that are coming from the consumers to the government. Okay, it might be from the government products, or it might be from the taxes, or it might be like GST. Again, it is also a tax, but yeah, so most of them is tax only, but there are products which people buy, and those products are manufactured or provided from the government. So that is public finance. Next we have welfare. So here the focus of the government is to improve the standard of living of the citizens of their country. Next we have health economics. So the concepts under the health economics assess the current state and the past state, and to predict the future state of the medical facilities, or the amount that a per person is able to spend on his health. Okay, so decision related to health will be taken in health economics. Next we have environmental studies. So as we have seen, there will be cycles going on the economy. Firms will be giving labor cost, and laborers will be giving their service. So the cycle goes on and on, but in between the thing that is affected is the resources. So environmental studies make sure that resources are not getting depleted but are made use optimally. Next we have urban and rural development. So both will have its own issues. That's why the analysis done, okay, the decisions taken, the policy made is also different for urban rural development at the state level, not at the country level. Okay, for example, urban issues are crime, education, transit, housing, local government, finance, everything. Rural areas will be development, shortage of resources, price constraints for production, adapt to climate changes, etc., etc. Next we have scope of economics in forecasting national growth. So here we will be studying about the factors which is affecting the country, a specific country's economy. Okay, first is the rate of inflation. So rate of inflation is simply the increase, or we can say number of notes or currencies getting increases, which is indirectly reducing the value of the money. So that is done in a very consistent manner. Again, we have subcategories in rate of inflation. So we will be studying about the inflation in depth in the coming topics. But here we simply understand the rate of inflation is the continuous increase in money but the reduce in price. Next we have globalization, which is like trades, import, export between the countries. Next is welfare schema, like we have studied about health economics and welfare. So all those 2 points comes under the welfare schema. Next, environment is same as that of environmental studies. Interest rate. So this is simply we can say the interest paid on the amount that is borrowed for a specific period of time. Next we have laws of economics. So because of law and demand and law of supply, we call the economics as a science, but we'll study in depth of law of demand in a separate topic, law of supply in a separate topic. Okay. So in a one-liner explanation, what we can say is law of demand is as the price decreases, the demand increases. Okay, and for law of supply, as the price increases, supply also increases. But that is a one-liner explanation. We'll study about each of the law in depth in the upcoming videos. You can search for them in the same playlist. So now we'll be studying about the features of the economic laws. So here first we study the lack of exactness. So we know that economic is very dynamic nature, so too many assumptions are taken while forming any law or while studying any law or for the analysis purpose. That's why we say it is lacking the exactness. The thing which is happening in reality is not as close as what law suggests. Next we have hypothetical, means economics is based on assumptions, so that is what we have studied for the laws. Next we have statement of propensity. So this says that when we are stating a statement in economics, it is not probable that 100% the statement that you said is correct. It is more likely that it will happen, but not 100% sure. So for example, we have taken that as the income decreases, the demand also decreases. But it's not like when your salary decreases, the demand will be decreased by 100%. It is just an effect, and there will be some level of decrease in both the income when the in the demand of the commodity when the income is decreased, but not the 100%. So because of that, we called as statement of propensity. Now application of economic laws is to take the decisions and form the economic policies for the countries and organization. Now next our topic is microeconomics and macroeconomics. So before getting into those topics in depth, a one-line explanation is microeconomics is when we are talking about any firm or any company in specific, okay, with the name. But macroeconomics deals with the category of we can say organization or category of market. Okay, so macroeconomics deals at a higher level, while microeconomics deals at a very lower level, a very specific point. Okay, now we let us see in detail microeconomics, demand and supply between individuals. So here again we'll be talking about a specific consumer, specific buyer, vendor or provider. Helps in understanding the mechanism of individual markets. So which again facilitates the formation of economic models because at the surface level whatever you will be forming, that will be useful and affect only on the we can say different niche of the markets, but not each of the organization or firm in each of the markets. Now next we have macroeconomics. So here we consider the total economic environment, like studies, not a specific college or not specific university. Okay, similarly unemployment, economics, global economics, relation, laws, etc. It helps in understanding the function of economic system, finding the solutions of economic problem. So the factors which are affecting the macroeconomics is the national income. So here we can see the current production of goods and then the service in the country. We call it as a national income. So here again we have a new concept called GDP or GNP that we'll study in a moment, but for now whatever the production is happening in the country, we call it as a national income. So we have 5 factors under the national income. One is the government expenditure, which government is spending. Okay, consumption expenditure, which consumer is spending. Okay, next the investment expenditure. So here again the government spending with the intention of generating some revenue out of it, but in the government expenditure it is trying to serve the people. Now there will be difference in this. So investment expenditure is like a commercial thinking, but government expenditure, it is talking in specific to provide the money back to the people's fund, like government expenditure, like it got income from the public, now it will be creating a non-commercial things like roads, all those things for the public. Next is the exports. So exports, we can say all the goods and services provided by the country for some other country. Imports is all the goods and services that are brought for the country from the other countries. So I think that is clear. Next we have inflation. So it is defined as the continuous or sustained increase in price level or fall in value of money. Okay, increase in price level but decrease in the value of money happens currency of country exceeds the level of the production. Next we have value of money depreciates. Yes. Next, okay, so in this inflation, right, we have three subcategories. One is moderate, galloping, hyperinflation. So in moderate, because we are sure that value of money is decreasing, okay, but at what rate? Based on that we have these categories. So moderate means we also called as a creeping inflation, so that means that it is increasing but at a very slow rate. So this rate is categorized as though it is increasing at a rate of 1 digit. Now galloping means it is increasing at a rate of 2 digit or 3 digit. So when such a high inflation is occurring, it will affect the middle and lower class of people. Finally, the last category we have hyperinflation, where the rate of increase is extremely high and when there is unrestricted supply of money in market. So if you have seen money is, they printed too much money in the same day, so which caused the rate like inflation to increase very drastically. So here we can say that a 2 digit or 3 digit has been crossed. That is not possible, but theoretically we call that as a hyperinflation. Next is the deflation. So deflation means the exact opposite of the inflation. So here we can say opposite of price level as we have price level increase in the inflation, here we have the decrease in price level. So again we have this difference between the price level and the value of money. Okay, so it happens in the recession, like a war or the zero activity in any specific niche of the market. So if lasted long, it could be harmful for the people involved in that organization or that category of the market and for the country as well. Next we have, okay, so this inflation, deflation, what all we are studying, national income, then we'll study some more factors. So all this we are studying to see what are the factors that are affecting the macroeconomics. So first we study national income, then inflation, then deflation, now interest rate. As we have studied that this is a proportion of loan that is paid by borrower as interest for the use of money for a specific period of time. Next we have business cycle. For this the diagram will be added soon, but what it says is that in a cycle we have four phases. One is the expansion phase. So in this we can see everything is new. Okay, for suppose everything is new, everything is in very good condition. So everything in the sense the demand, growth, competition, loyalty, advertisement, everything is going in a very good pace, and whatever is the expected results that we are getting. Now peak means the demand is at its peak. Now compared to that we cannot expect much more demand. Supply, revenue, market share, everything is like in full control. Now the amount that is spent in advertisement is also reduced because we already got a good share of the market. Next we have contraction. So from the peak stage, it is not like for how much duration we are going to sustain the peak stage, but from now onwards we are going to into the next phase, that is the contraction. So here the recession occurs. So everything is going out of hand, not gone out of hand but going out of hand. So sales is reduced, revenue is reduced, demand is reduced, market share is reduced, and all this is happening because the competition is increased. Now we have the final, the gone stage is called trough. Here we can say we are into heavy losses, we are into complete debts, income is gone. Okay, now whatever advertisement or whatever you do, you cannot come out of this situation, so that we call as a trough. So these were the four we can say phases of business cycle. Next we have nature of business cycle. One is cyclic nature and the other is generic nature. So cyclic nature means the effect which the organization is facing is because of its cyclic nature. So here I can take example that if something had happened today, it will recover, and again it will happen, and again it will recover. So that cycle will go on. Okay, it might be in terms of the business cycle 4 phase that we have seen. Okay, so the period again is not considered in specific, so it might vary from 7 to 10 years, but general nature means the effect that has caused on an organization is not for the organization only, it is going to be the complete market one by one. Okay, for example, if we take the depression has taken place in one organization, now it will take place in all the organization of the market. So this is also known as synchronism. Next we have circular flow of economy. Now considering the circular flow as we have studied in the first topic itself, it's like what the household is providing to the firms and what is the firm providing to the household. So if you can see in the graph, firms are providing goods and services to the household, and household is getting wages, rents and dividends from the firms, and in terms household is buying them, so it's like consumer expenditure, and household is providing their labor as considered as factor of one of the factors of the production. So it is like we have multiple inputs, right? Raw materials, and also in that one of the input is the labor, so that we are considering here as a factor of production. So this graph, this diagram was our circular flow of economy. Next we have GDP and GNP. So in a single line we can find the difference between the GDP and GNP. So gross domestic product is everything that is produced within the country, okay, for a specific period of time. So GDP is talking about the geographic area in which a particular item is produced or the service is provided. Now GNP can be calculated as the, or it can be considered as the goods provided or the service provided by the citizens of any country across the globe, okay. So GNP talks about the citizenship, GDP talks about the geographic area. Now how the GDP is calculated is based on this formula, CIGX minus M. So C here we can find, okay, C means the consumption, G is the I is the investment, G is the government investment, and X minus M means the export minus import. Next we have GNP. How we calculate GNP is GDP plus net property income from abroad, okay. So net property income from abroad we can consider by the income earned from a citizen minus the income earned by other citizens in the same country. So here we are taking suppose India, so income earned by Indians in abroad subtracted by income earned by foreigners in India, okay. So that is our net factor, and this net factor plus GDP is our GNP. So all these factors that we have studied were the factors which are influencing the macroeconomics. Now our some of the last topics are the business economy. So business economy is like all the concepts that we are learning so far, and we are using them in analyzing something. It might be a law, it might be a theory, or it might be a simple concept, okay. So all those we are applying it somewhere, right? That we call as a business economy. So difference between economy and business economy is economy is traditional, business economy is modern, and it still is under development, okay. Economic covers theoretical thing, business covers practical things. So here business means business economics, okay. Economy study about individuals and societies, B studies about the organization. Similarly similarly we have economic considers only economic factors, BE considers economic and non-economic factors. So overall we can say business economics is bringing the economics more towards the reality, okay, more towards the truth. Next we have economics and business decision making. So here we are considering various analytical models, various theorems and concepts, okay. And with these economic theorems, what all managers is doing, what are solutions we are finding, what are innovations we are doing to improve the techniques of productions or to reduce the cost that is undergoing in the as one of the inputs of the production. So all those we are doing in the business decision making. Next we have scope of business economics. So we have each topic for each of the topics, okay. I mean we have a different big topics for each of the factors. So what scope of business economics is that whatever the theorems, concepts, economic models, analytical tools, whatever you have studied so far, how that can be used to what we can say reduce the negative effect and improve the positive effect on the following factors. It might be the demand analysis and forecasting, cost and benefit, price decision, like decision making in terms of policies or practices, profit maximization, capital management. So in all these domains we can be like at a better place compared to the present, compared to the economics, by using all the concepts which comes under the business decisions, okay. Next we have significance of business management. So what we see here is, because business management got all the new concepts, theorems and everything, and we try to benefit in the previously studied 5 factors, So how it is differentiating compared to when we were in the economic sections, okay, which were compared to business economics, it was less close to the reality. So as you can see, it helps us in identifying and analyzing various business factors such as government policies, competitions, legal and social activities, helping the manager in forming new policies and economic study models which are close to reality or close to what is happening in the competition or the environment or with the employees. Next, we have organization can make future prediction if economic variables such as cost, capital investment is studied, which is happening in the business management. So it is a significant factor for business. Next, we have provides medium for exchange of goods and services. So in scope, we have studied the factors which are differentiating us from the economics, and those factors again we are using to give business management a specific significance. So it is making a difference, it is providing the value. So overall, the organization and the consumer and all the middle persons are getting benefited by optimally using the resources and by making use of the existing analytical tools and trying to predict more and more possible. So again, what are the techniques to predict, okay, what are the techniques to analyze, all those we are studying, going to study in the upcoming chapter. So for now, that is all about introduction, and the first thing that we are going to learn in depth was the laws. So first law was the law of demand and law of supply, which will be covering in the upcoming videos in the same playlist. So you can write down in the comment sections with respect to any queries that you have with respect to introduction to business and business economics. Okay, so yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.